The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome to the Science of Magic, a place where science and magic come together to transform fact into evolving truth. We can be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour we'll be exploring divine intervention. Illness and health are two of the most misunderstood concepts in modern-day culture. Allopathic medicine often views physical health as the absence of symptoms. When they appear, symptoms are treated as illness. Sometimes the symptoms are indeed an indication of an imbalance or illness. Other times they indicate healing in process. I recognize allopathic medicine as a viable and necessary form that saves lives. But when all symptoms are judged as bad and arrested with medication, we might be driving illness deeper into the body. The illness goes dormant or asymptomatic until the frequency where it resides is reactivated. In order to evolve as human beings, we must raise our frequency on all four levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. As our frequency rises, pockets of illness can be reactivated. We become symptomatic as the body uses the increased frequency to take care of old business. At that point, if we drug away the symptoms, we're actually aborting the healing process and suppressing frequency, driving the illness back into the body. Moving from one frequency to the next, whether up or down the health scale, requires entering into chaos. The energy matrix of one state must be broken down into its constituent parts before a new one can form. This process creates symptoms of imbalance. The practice of arresting all symptoms puts an energy ceiling on our evolutionary process, creating a gap between our physical being and our spiritual one. There's an ancient healing modality that brings the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual together. Not only does it treat on all four levels, it can reveal the imbalances or issues in each. One of the best representations of this modality was recorded in the New Testament. Jesus healed with a high frequency he channeled through his hands, a level of healing which is a form of divine intervention. It changes the status quo through an infusion of spiritual light. There's a resurgence of this form today. Many modalities, such as Reiki, therapeutic touch, and Qigong, channel light. In these methods, spiritual light is channeled through the practitioner to raise the frequency of the client, correcting imbalances on all four levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Jesus performed hands-on healing during the darker or lower frequency age of Pisces. These methods are now being empowered by the rise of ambient light or frequency we're encountering as the sun moves through a more highly charged portion of our galaxy. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, he shall do also, and greater works than these shall he do. When we consider the current increase in the availability of light, Jesus' words as quoted by John make much more sense. The fact that he could achieve such high frequency during the dark age of Pisces is amazing. The increase of ambient frequency now puts that same magic into our hands. There is a catch, however, isn't there always? In order to channel the increased frequency now available, the practitioner must move through their own healing crisis. When greater light is channeled through the practitioner to the client, it shakes loose dis-ease and imbalance present on all four levels of the practitioner as well. The light can only be as clear as the window through which it shines. There's a frequency below which we can no longer maintain physical form. When we no longer have enough personal frequency to heal, allopathic medicine intervenes, keeping us alive. On one end of the spectrum, drugs support frequency. On the other, they retard it. It's much like adding 85-degree water to a 75-degree bath. The temperature of the water can only raise to 85 degrees. If we wish to evolve, we must eventually refine our treatments in order to transcend the energy ceiling created by masking symptoms. Our guest this hour, Barbara E. Savin, is the author of General Energy Touch, Beginner's Guide to Hands-On Healing. She's an inspirational author and speaker, gentle energy touch specialist, clinical and medical hypnotist, certified Reiki master teacher, certified Pranic healer, and life coach. Since 2007, Barbara's been a consultant at Four Seasons Hotel, Westlake Village, where she now holds the position of clinical hypnotist and energy healing specialist. Barbara also provides energy healing sessions as well as clinical and medical hypnosis for individuals and groups. I will introduce Barbara, and together we'll explore the magic and the science of hands-on healing. You're listening to The Science of Magic. Prior innovative episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour, Barbara E. Savin, is the author of Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Hands-On Healing. Her website, www.barbarasavin.com. That's BARBARASAVIN.com. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us on The Science of Magic.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. When and how did you first notice that the energy that runs through your hands?
Well, my grandma was a healer, and growing up I was born and raised in Coney Island in Brooklyn, and my grandma would always do energy healing on my sister and I. And she would sit us down and call in divine and God's energy for us. And we would feel like a tingling, a heat, a certain sensation. And we always thought Grandma had magical powers. But the thing is that I had realized over a period of time that I was able to do the same thing. And began to do some healing on some of my friends. Now, mind you, this is back in the 40s and 50s when, we were told, do not tell anyone about this because then they would think we were a little crazy, and it was just bad timing at that point. So I sort of kept it a secret for many, many years. But I did healings on some of my friends, and then my grandma would constantly do this for my sister and I. And then, unfortunately, when she passed away when I was 18, I got away from it. And then as I began aging and, having children, I started getting sick. And the reason was I was not fulfilling my purpose and my passion, and then realized I needed to get back to doing the healing on myself because I was diagnosed with very bad migraines, chronic fatigue, and the thing that really made me understand about getting back to the healing was the fact that I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and the doctor said I would be crippled just like my mom, and that did not sit right with me. And so then I started getting back to the energy that my grandma had introduced me to as a child.
Where did she learn it? Did you ever find out?
Well, she was from Istanbul, and I
Ah,
think she probably, back then they didn't have people teaching them. They just intuitively knew what to do. And I know with her, when she did healing on my sister and I, she would just intuitively clear us, and we would never sick, and we would beg her many times not to do healing so that we can get sick to stay home from school. But unfortunately, that never happened, and she'd constantly do healing. So I really feel that probably her mom had that ability, and maybe her mother's mother. So I really feel it was just they just knew what to do, and they just did it.
yeah, that's amazing. I use the hands-on healing with my children, and they amazing immune systems, really strong constitutions, very little illness as they grew up. And you know what I've found that I think you kind of pointed out here is that if you start working with these kind of frequencies young, if you stop, it's like it doesn't go well. Why do you think that is?
Because we're not fulfilling our purpose and our passion. And I know the only reason why I got away, from it was my grandma had passed away 2 weeks before my graduation, my high school graduation. And it was somewhat, you could say, my way of punishing God for taking her at the age of 64. But now I truly understand it was her time to go. So what happens is, when we know we have the ability to help ourselves heal and we don't do it, that's when a lot of the challenges set into the physical. No, well, not just the physical body. Actually, it begins at the spiritual, and then at the emotional, the mental, and the last to actually suffer is the physical body. So, we do have the ability to help ourselves heal on so many levels.
So am I hearing you say that you think that illness begins kind of in the etheric realm or the quantum level and then filters down through the other levels of our being?
I really feel that in my heart because, again, once I got away from it and started becoming ill. Now, mind you, I was never ill the whole first 18 years of my life. I had nothing wrong with me. But then once I let go of the energy that my grandma taught me, that's when my illness began. And I had realized that a lot of it were, you could say, issues in my tissues that were making me ill because I couldn't understand the fact that, she had passed away. I was very angry. I was sad. There was so many different type of emotions that was filled inside of me that I weren't able to actually let go of. But then once I understood as I, began getting older, that I needed to let go of the fact that, yeah, she did pass away, and that's just the way life is. So, yes, I am saying spiritually we begin to break down because our belief in, I would say, God's healing begins to disappear from us. And then, of course, our mental issues, emotional issues, all affect the physical body.
Yeah, they do, don't they? They kind of impact, and then when things don't move, they break down around the immobility. Would you mind defining hands-on healing for us?
Well, it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's actually what I do. It's a hands-on method that helps just to create a feeling of inner peace, and it shows you how to, help yourself heal. And the most important thing is to be able to love ourselves for who we are and be grateful for everything that we have around us. It works in so many different ways for us. It helps us physically. By that I mean it helps loosen blocked energy that eventually can contribute to disease. It also loosens blocked, it helps us get to the root cause of our illness. Hands-on healing helps us relieve pain and headaches and backaches and all sorts of, different type of illnesses. And also mentally, what it does when we do healing on ourselves, it actually helps calm and relax the mind. And it also, many times, creates that true inner harmony and awareness within us. And for an emotional situation, it actually helps us to release those fears that we have inside of us and helps us let go of, again, those issues that we are holding on that does make us ill. And then spiritually, I would have to say it truly gives us a deeper connection with our higher self. It also helps us increase our intuition and all the other abilities that we do have, but unfortunately, we tend to get away from because of all the outside interference that weighs us down.
So by introducing a much higher frequency light, we're raising the frequency of the entire facility and thereby facilitating healing and enlightenment. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes. Yes.
Nice. Would you mind describing what a gentle touch energy specialist is?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. I said, would you mind describing to us what you mean by a gentle touch energy specialist? What does that entail?
I just do energy healing on clients. That's the name that the California Health and Longevity Institute gave to me, Gentle Energy Touch Specialist. And so I've been using that name for the past 10 years. But what it is just I do call in for divine God's energy for myself or, for the client, and then just do hands-on healing. And it's amazing the results that I see on a daily basis. People that they decide to let go of those issues from many, many years ago, and then they see their illness begin to subside or even disappear.
Do you are you able to do this long distance, or do you have to be in the presence of your client?
No, I do not have to be in the presence of my clients. I have clients from all over the world, and it's as if they're right with me. What I do is, again, I call in the energy for them, and their energy I can feel right in front of me, and I pretend that I put them on my table as if I'm, in my office, and then I just do healing on them the same way. And then they many a times, afterwards we'll have a conversation, or sometimes because of the time difference, they'll email me, and they tell me it's as if I was right there in the room with them. So the energy can go anywhere at any time.
That's really amazing, isn't it, that we can do this at a distance? It's not restricted to time or space, really, is it?
It's not restricted whatsoever.
Yeah. So how many forms of hands-on healing are there out there that you know of?
Well, I had taken Reiki, so, I am a Reiki master teacher. I did do Pranic healing, which is more of a clearing of the energy centers. And I've taken healing touch and therapeutic touch. And I would say basically they are all pretty much the same. God's healing, divine healing is healing no matter what we call it.
And so you really believe that this is anchored in the divine, yes?
Yes.
So we're just
without
the channels
any
for
religion, I use the word God without any religion associated with it.
Right. Yes, I understand. Okay. So what effect does tapping into healing energy have on you personally? And we have about half a minute for that question.
Oh, I get to give you a situation that happened to me 2 weeks ago that I have now been able to heal, and we can talk about it, when we come back from commercial.
That sounds perfect. So when we come back from commercial, we're going to talk about what effect tapping into healing energy has on the practitioner. We'll return to our discussion, which is getting pretty interesting here. After this short break, you're listening to The Science of Magic, and I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Do you want to hear more? Previous broadcasts of innovative episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. Barbara and I will be back on the flip side of this short break. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. Visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour, Barbara E. Savin, is the author of Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Hands-On Healing. Her website is www.barbarasavin.com. Barbara, just before the break, we were just about to get into something really interesting, and that's what's the effect that moving this energy through the practitioner to the client have on the practitioner?
It helps us heal on all levels. What it does, it actually, when we call in energy for ourselves or for another, it raises our vibration, and it helps clear whatever challenges that we have that we're willing to let go of within our body. So not only does the client get healing, but the practitioner also gets healing.
Is there a form of physical detoxing or personal processing that's resulted from channeling the higher frequency?
Yes, many a times, because we are doing healing on the 7 major energy centers, which are called the chakras. Each chakra is a very intricate database, you could say. It holds memories from this lifetime or I'm sure very many past lifetimes. And so what happens is the positive energy that we do call in moves through each of the energy centers, releasing things that do no longer serve its purpose. And many a times it's like a little bit of a roller coaster ride, you could say, because sometimes we feel absolutely wonderful when we do, healing on ourselves. Other times, it actually, we do not feel as good. And the reason is what it does, because it's now releasing the heavy and negative energy, the lower vibration from us. When we're now faced with situations that we have choices here, we either to let go of things that do not serve us purpose or to stay in the energy that does make us ill.
So this really leads into my next question is, when you're working for someone, are you working with your intent or their intent?
It's always their intention.
And
my intention is to call in the energy for them. But when I have a client, I always mention to them that I would like them to set an intention for the healing, for themselves, to themselves. So whatever they feel they need healed is what they ask for. However, the healing is very, very intelligent. So it knows exactly where to go, and it actually knows what to heal. But it's good when someone sets an intention, because it makes them more aware of what they need to let go of.
So how about the difference between conscious and unconscious intent? So it's like, I think a lot of us are really divided against ourselves, and we might have what we think is what we intend to do, like whether it's, heal an illness or lose weight or all that. But there might be some underlying holdouts. Have you run into that?
That's many a time.
How do you work with that?
So many times we say we want to think positive, but our unconscious and subconscious mind may not feel that way, because over the years we've actually beat ourselves up. So, whether they know what they need to release or not, that energy knows what to release. And then, I can have a client set one intention And then over the course of doing the healing on them, something else completely that they may have forgotten comes up to now be released.
So is it kind of a process they go through over time, or does it happen right at the session?
It happens at the session, but many a times it's like anything else. Healing, it's like being on a carousel. You know, we go around and around and around. It stops. We get off, and we say, "Oh, okay, this is good." You know, I've let go of some of my challenges, and then all of a sudden we're right back on that carousel going around again because there are so many challenges that we need to let go of during the course of our lifetime.
So it kind of a spiral effect.
Yes, and it's important for when we do healing, whether on ourselves or on others, to be patient and to love ourselves for who we are, because so many times we're always beating ourselves up. And so in order to truly help ourselves heal, again, we have to let go of those choices that we may have made in the past that may not have been good, and show forgiveness and acceptance and move forward, you know, in the now, so that we're able to let go of that disease, you could say, that we're holding on to.
So it sounds like what you're talking about here is guilt, that we're holding on to guilt and judging against ourselves, creating illness. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, without a doubt. Now, I was, you know, angry and guilty. Well, I'll mention about, you say about feeling guilty. A few weeks before my grandma actually passed away, I had a dream that I saw her die, and I dreamt about her entire funeral. And, of course, when I woke up, I said, all right, this was a really bad dream. But then 2 weeks later, she actually passed away. And I had dreamt that my mom buried her in her wedding gown. And lo and behold, when her funeral was, my mother buried my grandma in her wedding gown. So I felt guilty that I thought I killed my grandma all those years. Because, you know, I had that ability, I guess, you know, to see more into the future.
Right.
And so the guilt, the anger, the just hating myself, you know, for thinking that I killed her, when of course I didn't. It was her time to go. And so, you know, I held on to that. And then what happened is I then developed very bad rheumatoid, you know, arthritis. And once I was able to understand later on in years that this illness was because of the not me forgiving myself and the guilt and the anger and the frustration, once I began to letting it go, I completely healed myself from the arthritis. Now, however, sometimes, you know, the illness, you know, our journey is the illness. So many a times we need to see what it is that we need to let go of to help heal that illness from us. But not always do we heal from the illness. The illness may show us what it is that over the course of the years that we weren't able to let go of. And so it'll show itself to us so that we can understand why this is happening to us.
So from your story, it's the story is deepening like stories do. It seems like you weren't really mad at God. You were mad at you, and then your anger at yourself dropped your frequency so you could no longer connect. Is that correct?
Exactly. But I was angry at God also because I felt He took her from me when my life with my grandma was just beginning. So I was angry at her for leaving me. I was angry at God for taking her, and I was angry at me for thinking I killed her because I had that dream.
You know,
so
kids take it on
levels.
too, don't they? When, you know, people, young children, I've worked with a lot of them that are precognitive, and just because you can see it doesn't mean you're responsible for it. But can you speak to that a little bit?
Exactly. I was not responsible for my grandma dying. It was her time to go. And then what happened, you know, I'll tell you a story here. A few weeks after she passed away, we lived in the projects in Coney Island, and my mom had gone to her brother's house. And all of a sudden I heard, Babacita, Babacita. Now, my grandma used to call me Babacita. And as I got up from my chair, I was walking towards the foyer that we had. There was this incredible light, and it was all white. And the closer I got to the light, it was my grandma. And she kept on calling me, Babacita, Babacita. And as I got closer to her, she said, Babacita, don't be so angry. And then, of course, at the age of 18, I got afraid and immediately called my mom to tell her that Grandma was in the house. And I saw her spirit and that she spoke to me. But my mother said to me it was my imagination because I was grieving her so. So we can see spirit. When she told me don't be so angry, it was hard for me not to be angry. But it was her telling me you need to let this go so that you can go on with your healing. But of course I did not listen, and then over the years I began to suffer.
Well, this is an amazing story. We'll be right back. On the flip side, we have to take a break. You're listening to The Science of Magic, the place where altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric create common ground for the betterment of our world. You can always listen to previous broadcasts on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. Our website is www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Barbara E. Savin, the author of Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Hands-On Healing. You can find her on our website, www.barbarasavin.com. Barbara, before we get too much further into this last segment, would you mind telling our listeners where they can find your book?
Oh, they can find the book on Amazon. They just go to Amazon and put in Gentle Energy Touch, and it automatically comes up. I'm also in quite many Barnes & Noble, and the book is worldwide. And actually, in about a year, it'll be published in Czechoslovakian.
Oh, that's a translation for you.
Yes, I know. I'm happy it's not me doing it.
Aren't you glad, huh?
Yes.
So Barbara, how do you think that your grandmother's visitation related to your ability to channel energy? Do you think that they were related at all, or if it was a separate gift that you had?
I think it was related. I really feel that all the years that she was with me, she did teach us how to do energy healing, and because the vibration of our bodies were raised, and a higher vibration, I had the ability, and actually my sister also. My sister is very psychic and intuitive. I become very psychic and intuitive when I actually do healing on someone, whereas she's just psychic on a daily basis. But because of my grandma constantly doing healing on us for 18 years, raised the vibration and definitely helped me in all areas of my life.
In other words, because your frequency was higher, you were had more perception on the spiritual realm, and that's why you think you were able to pick up her visitation. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, and even now, many a times I hear my father and my mom, and when I do sessions with my clients, I have the ability to see their either spirit guides or angels or whoever comes in, a visitation to help them do the healing.
So the increased frequency increases your ability to function as a medium. Is that correct?
Yes.
Nice. Do you see hands-on healing as a replacement for allopathic medicine?
We have the ability to be able to do anything that we set our minds to do, and I really feel that with energy healing, it gives us an opportunity to let go of the challenges that we do have. Many times we need regular medical attention, and of course we need, some antibiotics or whatever the case may be. I'm very holistic, and so I use supplements, I do my healing every day, and I keep myself healthy, and make sure I eat well and exercise. So,
right. So how can you tell if hands-on healing is going to be the best course of action for your client, or if they need a doctor?
Future,
how do you tell when it's a good time to refer them?
That they need to take their own healing, in their hands, and not necessarily go run to the doctor. Now, I'll give you an example. 2.5 weeks ago, I had fallen, and I fell on my right shoulder, and I actually tore the bicep from the joint, and I have two rotary tears. And immediately, of course, the MRI was really bad, and the doctor there said, you definitely need surgery. Of course, the word surgery doesn't really, it didn't feel right for me. And so I went for functional therapy and soft tissue therapy, and, of course, doing my own healing. I began visualizing my arm rising and healing, because I kept on sending light, God's love and light to it. And it was also the arm that I do healing was my right arm. And it's now 2.5 weeks, and I am able to completely move my arm in all directions. Don't get me wrong, I still have pain, but I can, with my mind, be able to handle the pain, and I do not need surgery.
That's wonderful news.
We can help ourselves.
All of us don't have the ability to channel this higher frequency that you do, that you were trained in early on. Does your book help with that? Does it give people methods to use this on themselves?
It's very simple. And the thing is, we do all have the ability to be able to channel, energy healing. We just have to do it for ourselves. And what happens is over time, there's so much negativity that is around us that it actually gets us away from our natural ability to help ourselves heal. And getting back to your question, yes, the book is very simple, because healing is actually very simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to call in, divine light and then do healing on yourself. So I do give them step-by-step illustration. There's many, many pictures in the book to show them this is how you can help yourself heal and get rid of those challenges that you've been holding on to. So it's a very detailed, simple book. And anyone can do this.
It's kind of like our birthright.
Yes, it is our birthright.
Yeah. So do you give advice, or do you have advice for our listeners of what they can expect to have their issues come up and how to move through them when it happens?
Well, what happens is, it's a very uncomfortable feeling when all of a sudden you're say, dealt with an issue from family. And so it's important for you to understand that when you do healing on yourself and these issues do come up, look at them not as being a victim of them. Look at them as now you're going to send them love and light and healing. And it's time to let go of those things that do not serve its purpose. And so in the book, it talks about the energy centers. It talks about, certain areas where you're holding on to and how to help yourself release it.
So how do you suggest you release it?
Again, like for myself and for many of my clients, it's so important that we accept ourselves for who we are and to send love to ourselves and healing and light. And to understand things happen to us for a reason. And it's important for us not to stay victim in that, because if we stay victim in whatever the circumstances are, we then lose the ability to move forward in life and to help ourselves heal. So loving ourselves and opening your heart and forgiving yourself and accepting things that may have happened in the past is so important for us to help us heal.
So it all goes back to love, gratitude,
yes,
acceptance, and prayer.
Yes. Prayer is so important. One of my favorite prayers that I give to all my clients is the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, and the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is always with me. So it encompasses everything, and it's so important that you know and you trust and you truly feel that we are protected.
That's a beautiful prayer and a beautiful way to close. Barbara, we are out of time, but thank you so much for being with us on The Science of Magic. This has been The Science of Magic. Remember, you can always listen to past thought-provoking episodes on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge, comforted with love, and live in the light.